Introduction. A man of contradictions, Eddie Jaku called himself the happiest man on earth. Yet he lived through the Holocaust, the greatest tragedy of the 20th century. He was imprisoned in Buchenwald and Auschwitz, starved, beaten, forced into labor, and stripped of his family. How could such a man claim happiness? That is the story we will walk together today. Childhood in Leipzig, born in 1920 to a loving Jewish family. His father was disciplined, his mother warm and gentle. Eddie excelled at engineering. But Hitler's rise turned normal life into danger. Jews were banned from schools. Eddie's father risked everything to secretly enroll him at an elite engineering school under a false name. For 5 years, Eddie lived a double life. By day, a student, by night, invisible. Kristallnacht. The betrayal, November 9, 1938. Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. Nazi mobs destroyed Jewish homes, businesses, and synagogues. Eddie's home was smashed. His family was brutalized. Eddie himself was arrested, beaten, and sent to Buchenwald. The lesson of Kristallnacht: civilization is fragile. When hatred is normalized, neighbors become enemies overnight. Buchenwald and the descent into hell at Buchenwald, Eddie saw cruelty institutionalized. Beatings were daily. Hunger was constant. Hope was dangerous. Here, he learned the first rule of survival. Humanity must be protected in the smallest of ways. A shared crumb, a whispered encouragement. Auschwitz, the abyss. Eventually, Eddie was deported to Auschwitz. There, he witnessed humanity's lowest point. Gas chambers and crematoria, starvation rations, disease and despair. But he also saw sparks of kindness. A fellow prisoner slipped him half a potato. Another gave him courage with the words, "Tomorrow may be better." Even in hell, compassion flickered. Surviving by skill and luck, Eddie's engineering talent spared his life multiple times. He repaired machines, earning slightly better treatment. Yet he never boasted. He admitted many skilled men perished. Survival depended not only on ability, but also on luck. Being assigned to one line instead of another, escaping illness, or catching the eye of a guard at the right moment. This taught Eddie humility and gratitude. Life was fragile, every breath was a gift. Liberation and loss. In 1945, the camps were liberated. Eddie was free, but hollow. He weighed barely 30 kilograms. His parents and sister had been murdered. His community was destroyed. Freedom was heavy with grief. He said, "I lost my family, my country, my dignity. I lost everything except life." This was the turning point. Would he live in bitterness or in hope? Rebuilding in Australia, Eddie emigrated to Australia. There he married Flor, with whom he built a marriage of decades. Together, they raised children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. He became an engineer, contributing to his new country, but also healing through work, family, and community. Australia gave him roots again. Why he called himself the happiest man on earth, Eddie's declaration was not naive optimism. It was rebellion. He refused to let Hitler win by filling his heart with hate. He said, "Happiness does not fall from the sky, it is in your hands. Every breath is a blessing. Life can be beautiful if you make it beautiful." Happiness to Eddie was not circumstance. It was choice. The power of friendship, Eddie's deepest belief. Friendship is life itself. In Auschwitz, it kept him alive. In freedom, it gave him joy. He said, "A life without friendship is no life at all." He warned us in the modern world, don't trade friends for screens, don't neglect connection. Friendship is the true currency of happiness. Gratitude as a superpower. Gratitude transformed Eddie's wounds into wisdom. He was grateful for peace. Grateful for family. Grateful for food. Grateful simply for waking up each morning. We complain about traffic and inconveniences. Eddie had seen hell. To him, every ordinary day was extraordinary. Rejecting hate, Eddie said, "Hate is a disease. It destroys not only your enemy, but also you." He forgave, not because Nazis deserved it, but because he deserved peace. Carrying hate would have chained him forever to Auschwitz. Releasing it set him free. This is Eddie's challenge to us. Will we carry resentment or will we choose compassion? Life as the greatest gift, Eddie believed every breath was a blessing. He saw beauty in the simplest things, a flower, a smile, a walk in the sun. He insisted, joy does not come from grand achievements, but from noticing the miracle of existence. Eddie as a teacher. In his later years, Eddie became a speaker. He visited schools, community centers, synagogues. He told children, treasure friendships. Be kind. Never waste time on hate. He shared his story not to reopen wounds, but to protect the future. His memoir in 2020, at age 100, Eddie published The Happiest Man on Earth. It became a bestseller, reaching millions. Through his book, his voice became global. He wrote it not for fame, but for legacy, to remind us that life is precious and happiness is possible even after suffering. Eddie's death. At 101 in 2021, Eddie passed away peacefully. By then, he had lived a full century. He had outlived the Nazis. He had triumphed. His funeral was not just mourning, it was a celebration of a man who turned pain into joy. Lessons for today's world. Eddie's wisdom applies far beyond the Holocaust. In a world of distraction, he reminds us to invest in people, not pixels. In a world of division, he reminds us to reject hate. In a world chasing happiness, he reminds us that joy is not found, but chosen. In a world of stress, he reminds us, every breath is a blessing. Conclusion. Our choice, Eddie Jaku, leaves us with a choice. We may not face Auschwitz, but we face our own struggles, loss, stress, disappointment, temptation. Will we choose bitterness or gratitude? Hate or kindness? Distraction or connection? Eddie chose happiness, not because his life was easy, but because he refused to let darkness win. Let us remember his words, happiness does not fall from the sky, it is in your hands. Friendship is the greatest gift. Every breath is a blessing. If Eddie Jaku, who lost everything, could call himself the happiest man on earth, then surely so can we. Thank you.